Ahoy, hoy, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The O Show. I'm O, and I'm here for your amusement. Okay, so today we are going to talk about a movie that I have a love-hate relationship for. Okay, I love the movie. It's different. But I hate it so much because it's stupid. It makes no sense. So we are going to be talking about Cool World, okay? And yeah, you guys, this movie's just all over the place. I thought for sure, like, as I got older, I would understand more what was happening in this movie than when it came out. And no, I don't. I do not. I have pieced together some things over the years, but this movie's a piece of shit. But I still love it ever so. So Cool World came out in 1992, okay? Now, in 1988, we were gifted with the fabulous Who Framed Roger Rabbit, right? Like, don't touch that movie, y'all. Do not touch it. But Roger Rabbit wasn't the first movie where you saw, like, humans and cartoons and things, like, interacting. Like, especially with Disney, a long time ago with his Alice cartoons. And there was some, I can't think of another one. It's on the tip of my tongue. But, you've seen that before, here and there. Oh, like Mary Poppins. That's what it is. Mary Poppins, you see the penguins and, like, Bert, like, dancing in the park, right? So, it's been done. But I guess someone decided to make a movie with humans and cartoons, but make it more adult. With a lot of sexual innuendos. So, yeah, we got Cool World. So let's talk about it. Like, let's figure this movie out. Cool World starts in 1945. We have a character named Frank Harris. He's played by a very young Brad Pitt. So, he is coming home from World War II, and he is reunited with his mother in Las Vegas. So, after they go home, his mom was cooking dinner, and he's like, come outside, I got a surprise. And she's like, no, I'm cooking damn dinner. He's like, no, come outside. So, he comes outside and, like, covers her eyes, and then he's like, surprise. And she's like, oh, it's a motorcycle. He's like, yeah, I won it in a poker game. Like, why does his mom care? Like, why are you hiding her eyes, and the present is not even for her? She's like, ogre, well, be careful, go back inside. But he convinces her to ride on the back with him, right? So they're riding down the highway. And then we see these two drunk fools, like, coming out of this casino. Okay, now, first of all, you guys, look at this man. He is not playing this instrument. Like, what is he doing?
Thank you, gentlemen. My pleasure.
Okay, so these two fools get into the car, start driving, and then before they even, like, leave the parking lot, they crash into the motorcycle, which is, like, the worst crash scene I've ever seen in a movie. Like, the car is going one way, the motorcycle's going another way. Like, did they even, like, meet? But apparently they did, because we see Brad Pitt, like, flying through the air and roll onto the ground. The motorcycle is just, I don't even know. Like, it just slides across. It's the worst accident on film. So yeah, so Brad Pitt's mom died. This lady who's crying is overacting. And then I like how these two cops are just standing, like, well, not standing, they're, like, kneeling around Brad Pitt, but they're not doing anything. Like, it looks like he's having a seizure. Where are the paramedics at? So, for no reason at all, Brad Pitt just all of a sudden, like, disappears and reappears in the Cool World, right? So we meet Doc Whiskers. Yes, Doc Whiskers. And he has this spike that he created. And apparently he was supposed to use the spike to send him to the real world, but it brought Frank to the Cool World. Okay, whatever. Let's just leave it. I mean, maybe the spike doesn't work properly. I don't know. So, yeah, that happened. All right, so So now we fast forward to 1992, okay? And we go to this prison and we are introduced to Jack Deebs. Now, Jack is in prison. They don't tell you how long he's been in prison in the movie, but if you read, like, the plot of the movie, they say he's been there for, like, 10 years, okay? So what happened was, I guess he found his wife in bed with another man and he killed that man. So now he went to jail. Okay, prison. But I don't know, like, what the rules were in Las Vegas prisons 1992, because he has a whole, like, art studio behind him. Like, how come he gets all this paint and drawing utensils? Like, he's just walking around with a pocket full of shanks. Is he not just walking around like sharp pencils and pens? Like, I don't understand that. So he's drawing Holli, and this character's name is Holli Would. Not Hollywood like this, but Holli Would like this. That's cute and clever. Oh my god, you guys. And by the way, there was this picture I found like years ago. Because I love me some Jessica Rabbit and I love me some Holli Would. And then I saw this picture one day and I've been holding on to this picture forever. Because I just love it so much. Like, I need a movie where Jessica and Holli, like, team up or something. Like, come on now. Okay, anyway. So, he's drawing Holli. And then, I don't know, for some reason she just comes to, well, she doesn't come to life. But she says, like, it's time. And she reaches for him from the page. And then he is teleported, whatever. I don't know, whatever, however you explain it. To Cool World. As soon as he gets there, he looks up and he sees Holli, right? And he's like, what the fuck is happening? But like, as soon as he got there, he's now sent back to prison. So she said it was time. But he didn't, like, nothing happened. Okay, whatever, moving on.
I'm waiting for you, darling.
So then, I guess, like, we were at the 10-year mark or something, because Jackie's getting out of prison, okay? So he's leaving prison and he goes back home. Which then leads me to my next question. Like, okay, if you go to prison, how do you have, like, your lights and stuff still on? Like, how do you even still have a house? Was that house just, like, vacant and just, like... Okay, so they start showing us Cool World and some things that are happening. And one part that really gets on my nerves is we see this purple guy, right, walking down the street. He encounters these, like, 3 other characters and whatever, right? So you're thinking, like, oh man, like, is this gonna be the villain? Like, he looks so evil, right? And so he was like, well, you know, how about some wooden nickels? And he throws these things down and they come to life and start, like, biting and ripping at these characters. And then when they're done with all the carnage, like, they return to the guy, right? So you're like, oh, okay, I wonder what's going to happen later with these wooden nickels and this dude, right? Nothing! These wooden nickels do nothing. They never come back in this movie. We don't know what's the point of introducing us to these wooden nickels that look pretty cool. Like, okay, are they like a strange thing to come by? Are they even worth anything? Or are they just like this evil thing? Like, we don't know. We don't come back. And this guy, whose name is, I think, Spike? No, it's Sparks? Something like that. We see him maybe twice later in the movie, and then that's it. He's gone. So, so like, okay. Like, there's even a part where, so Frank visits Holli because someone blabbed and he caught word that a human was seen in Cool World. So he visits Holli to be like, was that fucking you? Don't fucking do it again, right? But even the purple dude, he's all like, oh, she has a visitor. I hate when she has visitors and I don't know about or something. So you're like, is he like a jealous boyfriend? Is he like a bodyguard? Like, anyway, okay, that's enough of the Purple Man. Frank is in Holli's place, and then we get to see her, like, the real her, like how she acts and whatever. And she's just going on about, like, oh, this is Vegas Vinny guy, and there's like this thing on top of this casino, and I want to go to the real world, and blah blah blah. So you're like, okay, she's gonna do something to get to the real world, like just foreshadow. But okay, so this is back to where I was like, don't make sense. So throughout this movie, you see these random ass cartoons just doing the most. Even when you're trying to like listen to the dialogue, like you have to kind of rewind and be like, okay, now hold on, let me see what they're saying. Okay, now let me look at what's fucking happening in the foreground. Because like, for example, this whole scene here has like this animation, these cartoons like running around, they're looping, and then they disappear. And then the same thing happens again. It's like, what the hell is happening? Like, are they there? Are they in her house? Or is this just something for the audience? Like, we don't know. So, with that said, with the dialogue, everything else happening in the scene, Holli mentions Jack. And then Frank is like, oh, is that the man who thinks he created this place? So, if I didn't say this before, I don't think I did. Okay, so like Jack is I guess he's an artist, and he created a comic book series called Cool World. Now they don't say when exactly he created this comic, because you gotta remember when the movie starts, it's 1945. Frank goes to Cool World. Because Doc Whiskers is like, you're in a real place called the Cool World, okay? And then we jump to 1992. So, if Jack created Cool World, like, was he even born yet? And if he was, is he, like, how old is he supposed to be? Because was he a child? And then because he would have had to have been old enough to get like publication of a comic book for this place to exist, which means he would have had to be like hella old in 1992, but he's not. And side note, they never explain why Brad Pitt is still a young Brad Pitt from 1945 to 1992. Do humans not age in the Cool World? Apparently not, because he's still the same age. So is he immortal? Is he like it? It makes no sense, you guys. If he's having visions of Cool World and thinks he created it, were there other people prior to him? Because Frank, for whatever reason, is now Cool World police, right? And I guess his main job, along with his partner Nails, who's this animated like spider dude, their job is to make sure Holli doesn't have sex with humans. So, and also too, the cartoons in Cool World are called doodles, and humans are called noids. So the doodle cannot have sex with a noid, because if you do, it's going to destroy the dimensions of both worlds.
What'd you do with this, Deebs?
I'm a cartoonist. I drew all this. I have visions. I translate this.
You do nothing, man. This place exists with or without you. You believe me, right? I'm not one of your creations. Yourself is a waste of ink.
Oh, yeah?
Truth is, she's been after me and every other Noid who's come through here. It's just that no one's been insane enough to get involved with her.
Oh my god, yes. This movie would make your head hurt, okay? I'm just gonna have a shot. First of all, this movie is not getting high shots, so I probably will be taking these throughout the video. Ooh. That was good. So, speaking of Jack, like, again, When did he create this stuff? Was he creating things in jail? If he's away for 10 years, I would think no new episodes of this comic book would be out, because what kind of privilege do you have being in jail and still, are you making money in jail? Like, do you still reach out to your publishing company and like, okay, I just drew the next issue? Like, I don't know. But he goes to this comic store, and the wall behind the cashier is just nothing but Cool World. And it looks like it's a waste of space, because if you look on the wall and then you look at this like rack of magazines, or the comics, they're all the same ones. Like, what you see on the wall is the same thing you see in this thing down here. So why are you wasting space? You're taking up so much space of this whole comic book place. Like, it's ridiculous. So then that night, Holli again reaches out to Jack, and he's like, "Come to me." And he goes. So he ends up back in Cool World, which I just don't understand why it's always like this temporary thing. Like, sometimes he's there for 2 seconds, sometimes he's there for like 5 minutes. Like, why? So we're introduced to Holli's goons. There's these 3 people who I guess are like her groupies. And again, Jack is like, "Hey, what's that one guy's name? I don't remember." But he's like, "Hey, is that you?" Again, because he thinks like he drew these people. Like, one character even says like, "My name ain't Chico." So he recognizes this guy as a Chico, but the guy was like, "I'm not Chico." So what is that about?
Chico? Chico, is that you?
I know Chico, right? And no noise.
And then, just like my issue with the purple guy, I can't think of his name, but we see this bunny rabbit, right? It's playing dice, it wins, but then gets cheated. So it goes to the cops. Now, again, Frank Harris is a cop, but this rabbit goes to an actual police department, right? So I guess these things are called poppers. And then like those little tiny blue men who are like comically like in a car, and they just like shoot their guns off as they drive around. Like, it's crazy, right? So you're like, okay, now this is, I guess, the other police force of Cool World, right? Then there's this whole like chase scene where they're chasing Holli. So she's driving away and blah, 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 right? But guess who never is shown again in this movie? These popper police. What's the whole point of showing these things? Like, they don't... You would think maybe at the end of the movie, like, someone calls them again, and now there's another chase, or they show up at a house, and like, no! These popper things go away. They have nothing else to do with this movie except for this one scene. So then after this scene, Jack gets sent back to the real world. And then we get this weird segment where he's like pacing in the desert, and then he ends up back at home. Wait, so he goes back home. Then did he drive to a desert to walk around and pace, and then drive back home? And then when he gets home, he's sent back to the real or Cool World. So I'm like, wait, hold on. So I just don't understand why he keeps getting sent to Cool World, sent back, sent to Cool World, sent back. And I think the editing group forgot to take that desert scene out, because it makes no sense. Like, oh my god. Okay, so it's okay. Something's about to happen finally, because the movie is just doing nothing. So then Frank and Nails hear that they need to get back to Holli because she might be doing something again with Jack. So he goes back to Holli's place. Now, the first time he went to Holli's place, he went through a door, and then he was just already in Holli's like apartment. So you would think like it's a house. Well, not apartment, but you would think that when he walked through that door, he's inside the house. This is Holli's house. But now he gets there, and it's this huge twisting skyscraper. And him and Nails have to climb up to the umpteenth floor somewhere to get to Holli. Like, why did the building change? They never show him go into a lobby, take an elevator, go up to an apartment. You know, like before you just walk through a door, you're inside. Now he's like, well, damn, now we gotta climb this building. It's so fucking stupid. So Nails is carrying him with a rope. But what's so crazy is that whenever they get to the umpteenth floor, high in the sky, he throws Nails through the window, and Nails was holding the rope. But then when you see Jack walk through not Jack, damn it. When you see Frank walk through the window, the rope is like, it looks like it's coming from the ceiling. So how is the rope on him above his head when it was Nails who was carrying him? And then I find it more hilarious that after Frank talks to Holli, he's like, where's the noise? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So now Frank is leaving, but as you can see, he goes back to the window as if he's going to like climb down. Like, you're in the building. Why don't you just go down the stairs or the elevator? Like, is he going back out the window? They never show him after that. Like, he's just, we assume he went back out the way he came in. So, it doesn't make no sense. Okay, oh my God. So now Jack does show up, and Holli seduces him. You got her goons outside building a damn like ladder to heaven because Holli told them that they can watch, but they can't get in. So now we got the stupidest sex scene between Holli and Jack. Like, it just looks like she was dry rubbing him. She's like dry humping him. No one ever like took off his pants or anything, but apparently they did it because there's an explosion and Holli turns human. And her human form is played by Kim Basinger. So now Spark shows up again, the purple dude, and he calls the police station, which again, I don't know what police station did he call, because he calls and gets Nails, but yet, like I said, there was those three little blue men, they were police station, like, see what I mean? It's so conflicting. So anyway, Sparks calls the police station and goes, yeah, fucking cops, like, Holli just screwed the Noid. So Nails is about to call, well, he does call Frank at some bar, but I guess he decides, like, well, I'm not going to tell Frank about it. I'm just going to just do it on my own because he's stupid. Also, I like how Nails is on a corded phone, but the cord disappears in some scenes, and then all of a sudden the cord is back again. So Nails confronts Holli. And then she ends up taking this pen that Jack had, and she trapped Nails in it. Because the other thing that Frank told Jack is like, you walking around with a pen is very dangerous. I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, the dip with Roger Rabbit. Like, there's one way to get rid of a tune. I don't know, but apparently pens are like dangerous to these doodles. So she sticks Nails with the pen, and he gets sucked into it, right? So then she runs over to Jack, and she's like, oh my God, we gotta go. And then they transport from Cool World to the real world. Why? How? How do these things just... How is she sending him there? And then all of a sudden she's like, let's go. And then she just goes. They go. How? They never explained this teleportation mess. So Frank finds out what happens to Nails, and he's like, ugh, now I gotta go to the goddamn real world and bring Holli back, right? So I didn't mention this before, but Frank does have a girlfriend, and her name is Lynette, and she's not a crazy animated character. She kind of looks like Holli, right? like a normal woman. So, you know, you have to guess, like, okay, now why? Why is it that he does have a decent looking character girlfriend, but they're in this world of like cats and mice and animals and this and that? And if it is a human, they're just like a weirdly drawn drunk, or they're wolves. Like, like, who is she? But anyway, but the running gag with them is that, you know, as the sexual tension is very high, they can't do anything because Frank will be breaking his own rules. You can't have sex with a doodle. So, and every time they start like even making out, nails would like pop through the door, like, all right, boss, we gotta go. So, you know, so that's like the running thing. So anyway, she's all upset, like, do you really have to go? And he's like, yeah, blah blah blah, that bitch. So so now, in order for Frank to go back to the real world, he has to remember the day he died and like envision his mom dying in an accident, and he, I guess, like, is it a traumatic event that, like, I don't know, but that's how Frank goes back. And I'm like, you mean you could have did that this whole time? I guess he just chose to stay in the cool world? I don't know. So now, Jack takes Holli out on a night on the town, and they go to this bar, and she just becomes like this hoe. She's like sniffing dudes and everything and getting on stage. But what's so funny is like she hops on this stage, and we have Frank Sinatra Jr. in this movie, and he's singing a song. Like, that's really him. It's Frank Sinatra Jr. cameoing in this movie. And at one point, Jack is like, hey, she's with me. And these two goons are like, no, she's not. She's with us, or whatever, right? And they throw him out of the bar.
Hey, she's with me. No, she's with us.
I know they did.
Hey, whoa, stay out.
Why? Like, if you came with someone and she turns into a hoe, who are these two guys to be like, no, we're going to throw you out, we're going to keep her? Like, what? So, anyway, we start seeing the first effects of what, I guess, happens when a doodle and a noid have sex together, because they start to, like, flash in and out of being doodle and back to human. So, I guess it's like a unbalanced effect that's happening with them. Okay, whatever. Now Holli and Jack are driving, and then she goes to the whole, like, well, I guess she never really told him about it, but she goes to the whole thing about the spike being on top of the tower and Vegas Vinny. So I guess it was a story about Vegas Vinny going on top of a casino and putting this spike up there. And he's like, you're crazy. So then she like kicks him in the face and kicks him out of the car and then just goes, right? So when Frank crosses over into the real world, he ends up in Jack's house. Why? Frank has never seen Jack's house. Is there like a tunnel or like a teleportation tunnel? Like, it's happened so much in this house that this is where he got drawn to? Like, we don't know. All of a sudden, just Frank ends up in Jack's house. Is this the house, you know, is this where he died? And then Jack's house got built on top? Like, I've been trying to figure this shit out. I don't know, you guys. But then, all of a sudden, like, Jack walks through the front door. So then how did Jack, I assume he's somewhere, like, deep in the heart of Las Vegas. But then all of a sudden, he just so happens to come home. At that moment, it walks through his door. Like, did he take a cab home? It's not explained. So then Jack's nosy neighbor comes over. And she's like, well, I have a car. We can take my mom's car. So she ends up helping these two guys get to this hotel to stop Holli, right? So Holli makes it to the building. And there's this dude outside just dressed all crazy. First of all, Las Vegas is hot as hell. Okay, and this guy's all bundled up, and he just seems to like know a lot of information. So she starts harassing him and finds out that it's a doodle. It ends up being Doc Whiskers, but we have no explanation of why he's running around Las Vegas. Apparently, he was supposed to be the Vegas Vinny because when he introduces himself, I think to her, he now says his first name, which is Vincent. So I guess we, the audience, are supposed to be like, oh, Vegas Vinny is Vincent Whiskers. But why are you putting spikes on top of buildings and telling people? Alright, it's time for another shot, because good God. Ooh. Okay. So Holli's having this like back and forth argument with the doc, right? But my thing is like, you're in Vegas. There are a lot of people walking around. No one sees this interaction. No one is like running up to this dude going, oh my God, what is that? Are you real? Are you a... No, there's no one around. No one sees this. And as a matter of fact, at this point, the neighbor and the two guys show up, right, in front of the casino. And you can hear the neighbor say, oh, there she is. She's so pretty, right? But she's literally standing next to a cartoon. This neighbor says, oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, who's she talking to? Oh my God, what is happening? No, she just goes, oh, there she is. Oh, she's so pretty. Bitch, you don't see this cartoon character that should not be there?
There she is.
She looks pretty.
Oh, then here goes Holli with the damn pen. So she takes the pen and she starts to like threaten the doctor and pokes him, and his body just explodes. He's not dead. It's just that his body parts are now just like all over the place. Okay, so now we got Frank running after Holli. So now she's like, oh, let me get the fuck out of here and get up to the top of this building. So she's going up the stairs, and they're running and running, and she ends up on a floor, and then she turns doodle, and all of a sudden can now walk through walls, right? Because, of course you can. I guess when you're a doodle, you can walk through walls. Was she walking through walls in Cool World? We never see her do it. This is the first time it happens. So, that's a thing now.
Crazy doodle bitch.
So then she goes out this balcony and starts climbing up, and then decides to play like the damsel in distress, right? So she's like, oh, Frank, you gotta help me. And his dumbass is like, okay, here I come, I'm gonna help you. So of course, she starts blinking in and out of being a doodle, and she pushes him, and he goes falling to his death, right?
Come on.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, tell me why you can see the string and the harness on Brad Pitt. Like, his butt is so tightly put into this harness. This black rope just holding him. I guess they thought it was supposed to blend in with the building and we're not supposed to see it, but come on now. So anyway, this man has fallen to his death. Now, I'm not an expert on falling from like, I don't know, looks like the 30th floor or something, but I would assume that if you hit the floor, your body's going to just like splatter. But no, Brad Pitt still looks like fine ass Brad Pitt dead on the ground. And once again, no one sees this. Because at one point, they show the bottom when they're up and they're looking down. They show a whole bunch of people down in front of this building. So if you were to fall, someone has to be like, oh my God, a guy just fell off the building. No. Not even the neighbor. The neighbor is like, oh no, he fell. No one calls 911. The neighbor is still just standing there, like, watching things, looking up. Oh, my God. The doc and Jack. Oh, yeah, Jack's standing there, too. I didn't see Jack run to get help and be like, oh, my God, you guys, like, this human has fallen from a building. No. So Jack is just standing there with his dead body in front of him. And then Doc is like, oh, it's a human. And he gets up. There are these people coming out of the casino. And they're just laughing and laughing. But no one cares that there's a car on its side. And this guy was under the car. Look at them. This is having the time of their lives. And I would be like, hello. I just crawled out of this car. Ooh. Okay. So, when Frank died, Holli dropped the pen that she used to stab Doc and trap Nails in, right? So the pen falls and Nails comes out. And Nails like, oh my God, Frank is dead. Oh my God. So he's like, well, we got to bring him back to Cool World because Lynette needs to see her dead boyfriend. So the doctor like agrees. And so Nails like, okay, Doc, let's go back. And I guess now the doctor like transports them back to Cool World. Again, I wish they would have just said like, how are people transporting here and there? Like, how does this work? But anyway, we don't know. So Nails brings this dead body and dumps it on the street. So Lynette's walking home and sees the body, right? She's like, who killed him? And Nails like, Holli did. She pushed him off a building.
Who killed him, Nails?
He was pushed off a building.
Who pushed him?
Holli Would.
Holli Would? That bitch!
Okay, so now the movie makes up one final thing out their ass, right? So apparently, because like this happens all the time for them to know this or something, but Lynette's like, well, if she was a doodle when she killed him, then he will turn into a doodle. What? He's dead. Would he have turned into a doodle like on the streets of Las Vegas? Anyway, I guess if you bring him back to Cool World, he comes alive and is now a cartoon. So that's what happens.
Well, what happens to noids who traffic in the Cool World, Nails? When they get killed by a doodle, they become a doodle themselves.
Hot dog.
And at that, it happens at that moment, of course. So Frank is alive, turns into a doodle, and now he could go have sex with Lynette because that's a thing. Frank and Holli are just pretty much trapped together. He doesn't turn into a human. He just stays that superhero. Like he wasn't gonna like turn into like a cartoon version of Jack. Like, no, he's just this stupid superhero. And then the movie ends.
What a beautiful landscape. Let's see. We can put the house over here, the studio over here. I'll still draw, of course. We'll raise children over here. I'll fight crime over there.
You guys, that is Cool World. Like, I hate this movie so much, but I don't know why I keep watching it. It's just, I think when I just need something stupid on, I put it on. It's so ridiculous. Like, I don't understand. And these people was like, okay, you guys, like, come see it in theaters. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's happening, but there you go. You know what also used to piss me off is that damn Cool World video game on Super Nintendo. Like, that was actually a hard game. Me and my brother would rent it, and we would be determined, like, okay, this game should not be as hard as it is. So we kept renting it thinking, like, okay, the more we keep playing, the better we would get at it. And I don't remember how far we used to get, but we were just nowhere near, like, beating that game. And then we finally just gave up. Yeah, you guys, let me know in the comments below. Have you ever seen Cool World? If you have, did I miss anything? Okay, like I said, I've been trying to put these pieces of the puzzle together, and this is as far as I got. Now, everything else, you're just on your own. Like, I can't explain anything else. It's just so ridiculous. Yeah, let me know. Alright, so you probably noticed I have been drinking these shots throughout this video, and I am going to give Cool World one shot. Is getting one shot after all these years because I appreciated the effort. I appreciate them bringing Holli Would into my life, but fuck you, movie. You tried it, you really did, but nope, you didn't do it. Okay. I still have some holiday rum chata, peppermint bark. Ooh, rum chata. Oh, you probably can't see it. But that is today's shot. So, cheers. Minty. Alright, you guys, so that was today's episode. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next episode. So, until then, TTFN.